I've just been fucking learning the game, Like, I did a TikTok live one night when I was messaging you at the start of the year when I left Lombok. Literally sold like 3K worth of QS reports on a TikTok live. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
You do webinars at all?
Nah, but I want to do them. Mate, there's so much we can be doing. Yeah. And you probably think I could be doing so much more. Hey guys, David here from Rapid QS. Just to catch up with an absolute legend in the space of the property development game, Steve Goodey. Huge presence on Facebook. I have no idea how he gets so much engagement. We're just going to catch up with him in the North Shore here in Auckland, chat with him around his structure on sort of like short-term investment properties, a couple of losses that he's had and a couple of big wins that he's had. So drop a comment below if you know Steve. I think he's an absolute G, and enjoy the podcast. Let me know if you learned something out of it.
I don't know. It just depends on your business model and how it works. Like for me, webinars are great because I did 4 of them leading up to this campaign. Yeah. And we had 2,500 people on the webinars.
Jesus.
And
each one average.
Yeah. And so you get lots of questions, lots of interaction, lots of engagement. Yeah. And social loves engagement because it's authenticity. Yeah. You know, it proves that you're the real deal to them. But also like you know, we did one with Matthew Gilligan, Rowan Associates, the accountants, right? And he's not dry. He's a very smart guy. Yeah. He's sharp as hell, and he knows everyone. He's a real connector. Yeah, mate. But I email it out to my database. He emails it out to his database. All of the registrations come through my webinar software. Oh, wow. And all of those people end up on my database. Yeah, wow. So we picked up like 3,000 people on the database just from that.
When is that course and what is it? It's a day course?
I do a 1 day on Sunday at the Millennium. You're welcome to bowl in.
Yeah, and how many have you sold out on that?
322 tickets, but a lot of those are doubles, so there should be 400 people in the room.
Fuck, that's wild.
We had a guest speaker coming over from Australia, 4 or 5 people, mortgage broker, accountant, rah, rah, rah.
Dude, you're crushing it, man.
It's just a filtering process.
Yeah,
it's
mate.
Just
that's good.
a funnel.
Hey guys, so David here from Rapid QS, or David Baker. So we sat down with Steve Goodey. We've been following each other on socials for a while, and I did feel like an absolute dickhead. I've actually met you rooftop at the Professional Builder India party last year, and we were just discussing and saying
there was beverages involved. It's fair. It's totally fair.
That's right, but I felt like a dickhead because I was like, nice to meet you, and you're like, hey bro, we've met. Anyway, thanks for coming in, bro. So cool, man. Like, it's obviously, as we've been discussing, social media is a wild world. You post one video, it's literally a fucking lottery system on what you're going to get. So but let people know what you do, roughly how you kind of got there. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I was in retail years ago and just bloody hated it, and so I bought a house on the weekends. I renovated it, and over about 8 weeks, I made about $50,000 profit.
And you thought, what the?
And I thought, what the hell am I doing in retail? So I quit my job and nearly quit my girlfriend because like she threw the wobbly. You know, we were living on her money. Yeah. She ended up marrying me, so that was all right.
Yeah, there you go.
She's now my ex-wife. Doesn't talk to me anymore. That's a whole different story, though. We'll stay away from that one.
Yeah. We'll to Steve's relationship.
The following year, I did 6 houses. The year after, I did 9. The year after that, I did 200. I bought, renovated and sold 200 houses every year for sort of 4 or 5 years while I built up my equity position.
I actually read that on your website.
Yeah. And then
every 9 days, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, some of those were contemporaneous settlements. Yeah. Some of them I didn't even go inside. Yeah. And I was turned into sort of moderately prolific property trader. Fuck. And then, as you know, like once you start getting this rapport for being able to do the thing, people start going, oh, can I buy you a coffee, pick your brain? And that turned into 20 or 30 people, which turned into a full-blown coaching company, which is kind of where I'm at now. Nice. So now I've got sort of 250 clients all around the country, and I'm teaching them how to do exactly the same thing. Yeah, wow. So what has been this, is this a 4-decade thing, 3-decade? Yeah, I bought my first house at 17. Nice. Well, I had $10,000 worth of one of my parents' rental properties. I mowed the lawns, like that sort of thing. Yeah, and I just quickly on that one, sorry to interrupt you, man. I read a few comments of people going, oh yeah, but you got a loan, you got it, blah, blah, blah. You could have blown that 10 grand. You could have gone to Vegas, fucked around, you could have bought a car, shagged a few chicks, but you know what I mean? Well, it was hard then. It's hard now. Yeah. You know what's really hard is being broke. Like, choose your hard. Yeah. Yeah, dude, I love that one, eh? It's hard to get up early and go to the gym every day. Yep. But it's also hard to have to go up a size of jeans every fucking 2 months. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And now I'm redoing that again because my eldest son, who's 22, has just started buying houses. Yeah. And he bought one 2 years ago when he just turned 20. He was barely out of 19. And he bought his first house, and everybody's like, oh yeah, you would have thrown a truckload of cash at him. I didn't. Yeah. He had discipline. He knows why he was doing it. I helped him find it and helped him figure it out. Yeah. You know, so many people are shit scared of property investment. They look at the property ladder, and you know, there's clouds at the top rung and they can't see it, and so they don't put the foot on the bottom rung. You know,
That's it. And I feel like too many people faff around and don't want to start due to the risk. They do too much thinking.
Yeah, it just looks too hard.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm 30 years into owning properties, and now I'm making it look easy.
Yeah, for sure.
But you got to start somewhere, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Where was your first property buy? Was it all Auckland?
No, it was Wellington. I live in Wellington.
Okay, cool.
And I got some thoughts on that are going to get me kicked out of Wellington in future. But
hey, all good, man. I'm roasting councillors left, right, and centre.
I don't know if I will ever buy another house in Wellington in the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I've got quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that there's more opportunity in Auckland these days in the 09.
Yeah.
And I know you don't live here either, so like we can both bag or love it.
Yeah, I'll should over Auckland.
And mate, I think Auckland doubles first.
Yeah.
And it booms first.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't this be a great time to get a bit of Auckland under your belt, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they just got the population. But the major change has been the unitary plan.
Yeah.
Because the unitary plan has made the land worth more than the building.
Yeah.
So the building's just there to pay the rent now. That's it.
That's a good play, actually.
It's the dirt that's worth all the money.
Yeah. So how much market research do you go into when you're doing, like when you were doing this stuff in your early days? What were your key indicators that you were looking at all the time?
Well, you got to remember that, like, I'm going to age the shit out of myself here. When I first started this, I didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
The internet was barely invented. So I'm literally reading the property press. Yeah. So I just chose 4 suburbs and went, I want to be a fucking expert at these 4 suburbs. And then you'd go to auctions, because auction is an instant resemblance of what the market's doing for that house on that day.
Yeah, you can physically see what the price is.
Well, yeah, but you can stand at the back of the room and you can go agent, auctioneer from another agency. There's this many actual buyers in the room. And so I was more interested in what price did it sell for in a willing buyer, willing seller situation? How many people missed out? Yeah. How many people are still rolling around with 800 grand in their pocket to go shopping in cash on that day? It's just a really interesting market indicator. Yeah. It's the purest indicator of what the market's doing.
Yeah, interesting. So obviously, as that changed over time, now you've bought houses unseen. You don't have to go to auctions. You didn't have to
I still love to go to physically go to an auction. You can see people twitch. Yeah. And I tell you, there's a massive difference. 10 years ago, right? You'd go to the auction, right? And you'd look for the scariest guy in the room, like who's your competition? And it would be somebody a lot like yourself, right? So you might have rolled up to an auction back in the day and you'd have the Bunnings singlet on, the short shorts, one ball hanging out, and you'd have your checkbook ready to pay the deposit, and you're on the cell phone to your business partner, right? That was the scariest guy in the room. They're not anymore. The scariest guy in the room is a 30-something with the wife and the pram, the emotional buyer.
Yeah, true.
And they're so easy to read. My God, they're
emotional.
Because us guys, we bid at auction because we are man beats chess, right? But we bid because she lets us.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when they get really, really close to not being to running out of money, he'll sit there and he'll go, and he'll look at her, and that's when you knock them out. That's when you come in with a big bid.
Hell, man.
Oh, the body language is unmistakable. It's hilarious.
How many auctions do you reckon you've been to?
Maybe 1,000 a year.
For 1,000 a year?
For 20 years.
Jeepers, man. You've got some time under your saddle.
I mean, in Wellington, from my house, I can walk to most of the agencies.
Yeah, for sure.
And they all know me and I know them. And now I'm kind of like market commentary more than anything.
Yeah.
But I go to auctions with Wellington's biggest residential property investor.
Yeah.
He won't mind me saying he's been in the press, but his name's Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
He owns a couple of 100 houses in Wellington.
Wow.
And he's a commercial auctioneer himself by business, and he's a prolific purchaser of real estate.
Shit.
And he literally goes to the auctions these days, and if something looks cheap, he'll buy it.
Yeah.
Without looking at it, without thinking about it.
Yeah.
He's just in that position.
Yeah.
But most people, let's be fair, they buy into this auction strategy of, I need a LIM report, I need a builder's report, I need a valuation, I need my finance approved, I need mum and dad to sign off on it, I need blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so really what they're doing is these days, particularly, barfoot auctions in Auckland, clearance rates have really started coming down. They're shaking the tree fund conditional buyers, and then they go on to the conditional interest after that. It's not the way it used to be even 2 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
Do you know how many houses there are for sale in Auckland at the moment?
Nah, no clue.
Just went over 15,000.
Holy shit.
15,000. First time in living memory it's that high.
Wow. What will we say just around post-COVID, roughly?
9,000?
Wow.
Peak of the market in Wellington, there was 920 properties on the market. Today there's 3,600.
Shit, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
And you could look at that 2 ways. You could go, market's saturated, everybody's panicking, or you could be, market's warming up, people are starting to get some good numbers.
What do you think?
Mixture of both. I think there's, if you've got 15,000 people selling their property in Auckland, there's 1,000 people out there that are shitting themselves.
Yeah.
Really motivated sellers.
Yeah. So good time to get a deal.
Always a good time. There's just more selection now.
Yeah.
You go to an open home peak of the market and there's a shoe forest out the front of the open home. You know, you got to find your shoes from, there's 50 people at the open home. Yeah. You go now, there's 3. Yeah. The agent's really friendly.
Yeah, interesting. Eh?
Agents want to sell stuff. They want to buy lunch.
And especially when it was the other way around, they'd snuff your nose up.
It's just a severe buyer's market right now.
Yeah, interesting. Real keen. Couple points before I get into the builder stuff. I'm real keen. When did you start your Facebook page, and what's been the growth strategy behind that? Have you had help with that? Have you just done it yourself?
Well, as I said, I'm incredibly old. No, I'm 52. But when I first started speaking on stage about property investment and appearing to be some sort of an expert, everybody I was talking to was older than me. Yeah. I started when I was like 30, 32, like standing on stage with 1,000 people. And I was working for a company called Rich Mastery, which ran property investment events all around the country. They went well, he didn't go bankrupt, I bankrupted him. Long story. I don't have that sort of time.
Part 3, man.
He was an absolute piece of shit, but some of the people in the business were really good. So I started working with Sean Wood, and him and he started Property Tutors, and he was Property Tutors in Auckland, and I was Property Tutors in Wellington. And we did that for the thick part of a decade before he sadly passed away. Oh, wow. And so then I started Steve Goodey Property Coach, but I retained the Property Tutors Facebook page, which was about 6,000 or 7,000 people.
Yeah, nice.
And I was running my coaching program, which means I'd do 22 open homes a day, 3 days a week with a couple hundred clients. And so I'm talking to these clients all the time and looking at houses all the time, and then suddenly we had this fucking COVID shit, right? And I'm sitting on my couch at home, bored as hell. So I pulled the laptop out like you are and started doing Facebook Lives.
Yeah, nice.
And we went from 6,000 to 8,000 people on the page, and a month later we had 45,000, and now it's close to 60,000.
Shit, man.
And now, as we were talking about earlier, the engagement on that page...
Dude, your engagement is wild.
Yeah.
I thought we had good engagement.
It's because I'm I say edgy shit, I think. But also, you guys online today, you comment, right? But, this is why I appreciate what you do as well. Yeah. You actually say what you think. Yeah. And I don't believe that you have too many fucks to give. And therefore, Kiwi's bullshit indicator is really high. Yeah. And people just engage with that, the reality of it. Yeah. I've said things that have been wrong in the past and apologised. But in reality, I'm not here to really sell anything. No. I've got a product and people buy it. Yeah. And that's really what it is.
That's it, man. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But, our engagement peaks at around 1.6 million views every 28 days, which is touching on Stuff.co and Herald territory.
That's so good, man.
And what I found from that is there's actually a lot of rapport based in that, but people trust you as well. Yeah. So now I've got to really think about my opinions because I'm actually putting stuff out there into the market.
When you get those kind of numbers, you would somewhat say you've got a bit of an influence. So you kind of I don't know, I don't like saying this, but you kind of maybe do have to give a little bit of a fuck about what you think. Yes. But it's also bad because then you're not becoming authentic.
But also I can manufacture media pieces these days, and I've done it quite recently. Yeah. If there's something I want to say, I can write a piece in a certain way, tag a couple of people, and it ends up in the Herald.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah.
But also, I've walked through a property in the past, and it's I walked through a property. It was really architecturally designed, real piece of shit. Stainless steel benches and swings and weird holes and weird, And I walked around and I'm like, man, in the 80s there must have been a lot of cocaine done off these benches, right? And I got a message, Dad never did drugs.
Yeah.
Like the family that owned the house and designed it came back to me.
Oh my gosh, that's
so you got to be a little careful because talking to 6,000 people is very different to talking to 60,000 people.
Yeah, bro. There's another zero on that one. When you're on a live, how many people do you get roughly listening?
Oh, I did a webinar series recently. We had 2,200 people register, and I think we topped out about 1,100 people online. That's good. Facebook Lives, I tend to do short ones. The content I'm trying to do is long form, short form with video, text, photos, everything. Yeah. Long form lives, depending on what time of day you do it, if it's a series or not. Yeah. Sometimes you get 3 people and then it gets 12,000 views within 10 days.
Do you purely have, I'm going to go a little bit nitty gritty here, do you purely go into these lives with a bit of a strategy or a topic talking point, or is it more just jump on, people ask questions and then it just...
Well, I don't really usually answer their questions that much. Not as much as you do.
What's your strategy then?
Giving out information, saying the thing. You know, obviously I've got an event on this Sunday, so I've actually been doing a lot of actual marketing. And so sometimes you've actually got to do some content as well. You know? And sometimes you just, you know, I'm pretty famous for pulling out the old whiteboard or my crayons and doing some numbers, and people really engage with that, like to feel the thought process of it.
That's good. This is going to catch you completely off guard, but if it would be worthwhile, I reckon we could use the whiteboard if you wanted to. I really want to know what we can do to help the average builder. You know what I mean? So that'd be good.
Absolutely.
Couple quick fire questions before we get into those kind of things. What's your biggest loss on a deal and your biggest win on a deal?
Jeepers.
Ballpark, top of your head.
Biggest profit, because I like the profits more. I bought a retirement village. It was 28 bedrooms. I put a firewall down the middle and made one side of it a 5-bedroom house and made the other side an 18-bedroom boarding house.
Oh wow!
And then I bought 9 garages off Trade Me, tar sealed the backyard, put all the garages there, put some security cameras and lights, and leased them out as storage units. And then it was going out of Upper Hutt on the. And so I put a billboard on there and lit it and hired that out as well. It just about hit all of the income streams. Short of a helipad, I think I nailed it.
Jeepers.
And I paid $525 for it, claimed the GST back, sold it for $1.4 million 3 months later.
3 months? That's incredible.
These days, if I'm doing a deal like that and I'm turning it into a serious cash flow, I expect it to be pay me $1,000 a week cash flow positive and recycle 100% of its equity. But
that's crazy.
I don't do a lot of actual raw development. I don't do a lot of like buy 2 old ladies' houses, knock them over and build 12 townhouses.
Can you, just before we get into your biggest loss, because that's important, do you think that process is too slow? Because I mean,
I push against stress. I've got your haircut, you know, like there's not much left.
Short and sweet.
And you'll know this, development S-curves, right? If you're doing a bare land subdivision and development, your value of your asset is going to dip below the amount of money you've put into it at some point. When you're doing a renovation on a pure renovation on a house, the value of the property never goes below what you've got in it.
True.
And so at a certain point, you're at a fairly high amount of risk. And this is why Sir Bob Jones says all developers go bankrupt, except for Samart Denichek. He's got a different system. And so very early on, I looked at it and went, well, shit, if I can be the beginning of that and actually renovate the asset that's there and add to it, that's better. Or if I could be the end of it and buy built stock off stressed developers, I don't have to be the stressed developer.
And you can somewhat get a bargain for someone to get rid of their stress.
Correct. And just look harder and negotiate harder than what other people do.
That's interesting, eh? Biggest loss?
Oh God, I bought a property. I've decided I was a developer one day.
A stressed developer?
So I bought a 780 square metre section for $2.8 million.
Okay. Where?
In central Wellington, Haining Street, between Taranaki and Tory, like central Wellington. Had a 32 metre height limit. Spent $1 million getting a resource consent through the Wellington City Council for 137 apartments. And it turned to shit in so many different ways.
What was that process to get the resource? 12 months?
No, 2 years.
2 years?
Minimum holding costs on the building, tenants left, business partner went bankrupt, bailed her out, next business partner died, the project manager got cancer.
Talk about stress.
Oh my God, the unholy of things that could go wrong. And so I got grumpy and put my anchors out and decided I would hold it until it came right. And it didn't. So I held it for 11 years. And then I sold it at a loss. Lost about $1 million.
Not too bad over $1 million. Not too bad over 11 years.
But the value of the building had to come up a long way for me to only lose $1 million.
True.
It's not my best work, and another reason why I don't do development anymore. I really don't. If I wanted to have more stress and wanted to, buy an island or a private yacht or whatever, but I didn't come from money. And I've got to a point where I've actually got some money now. And my wish to buy an island is not as much as my wish to go to zero. I'm quite a comfortable guy. I like where I am.
I think there's a certain thing of getting to a point where you're like, cool man, I'm good for X amount of time.
Yeah.
I've always, since I've got out of my rut with my building business, I've always had a number in my bank account where I thought if everything goes tits up, I can go to one of my favorite places, Zadar in Croatia or Lombok in the Philippines, and I'm good for X amount of time. And that's like that helps me kind of want to take more risk because I'm like, I know roughly what my number is. So anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm 53 this year and I've got enough assets. I'm asset rich, cash flow poor, usual story. And I can sell down and go straight to cash if I want to. I chose not to yet, but I will at one stage.
Sure.
And I'm just eyeing up what's next.
Good play, man. Good play. Comment you made before about JVs. How many JVs do you do? And do you get lots of opportunities to do those?
Yeah, I do.
Do you entertain them? Do you like them?
I don't particularly like them anymore because I don't have to do them anymore.
Would you recommend them to people if that's what they need to do to kind of get off the ground?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
50% of something's way more than 100% of nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes a joint venture with another investor is cheaper than going second or third tier lending.
True.
But you've got to be pretty fierce on your JVs and what you will and what you won't do. I don't necessarily do any JVs with friends. They've got to be a business model. You don't want to, lower your list of friends in your group. And you've got to have a written agreement. It's got to be plain English written. Both people understand it. And there's got to be a need on both sides. So if you're putting in 80% and I'm only putting in 20%, why the hell do you need me? It's got to be 50-50.
I understood.
I think that's as a general template. That will stop there from being a lot of tears later.
Fair play. I mean, I just listen to so many guys about pricing stuff now, and they're like, I've been offered on this to do a JV with this guy, or it's usually someone. I believe there's heaps of concepts around someone's got the money but no time, someone's got the time, no money, and it's good if you can find that middle ground. But
absolutely, and that's most of them. So what you'll have is a plumber, a builder, or a developer, or a guy who's self-employed, can't prove his income, has skills, has a lot of time to put into it, to the project, but can't get the lending because banks don't like him. Right?
True.
And then you've got another person who puts his knees under someone else's desk, earns a really high money, but there's a pound of flesh to be had there, can't spend every weekend on it, but he can prove his income with pay slips.
True.
And you put those two people together, fundable, has skills, they're a good team.
I tell you what, I've been self-employed since I was 22 and I've only just been able to get a loan for a house at 29. And I was like, man, I'm not making millions, but I was like, I'm making okay money. And they're like, no, we don't see a salary. We're too
I'll
risky.
shave it because it's self-employed and they think that is riskier. It's nuts.
It's such a pain. We can cut this out if you don't, and I don't know your thoughts on it. But do you want to comment on the Duval stuff, on the development stuff? What's your thoughts, man?
Kenyon Clark's a personal friend of mine.
Okay, cool.
I met him as a personal friend. I've been in and out of his house every week for a couple of years. We haven't spoken for a little while. There's no bust up there. Just
due to maybe stuff that's going on.
He's a pretty busy guy at the moment.
I could imagine.
I haven't publicly commented about this.
We can cut it out, by the way.
It's fine. I have no problem with that. I don't think my comments would be very well received in the media if I actually said what I think.
Fair enough.
I'm very, very interested to see if anything comes from the FMA and it's been 9 months. And every single comment you see on the Herald says, put him in prison, give him an...
I know.
Like, why don't you fucking accuse him of something first?
Exactly.
And then prove it.
I don't... this is why I'm being very careful with my Legima request things, because
you're a target. You're a target.
I can read something in the Herald, like I did this morning, around Tauranga coffee bill, 480,000, so I'm instantly going, okay, cool, Mahi Drysdale and this other guy, we're going to pinpoint them because they're in charge. But are they really the numbers? So I'm being very careful with my content now around, I don't want to believe them, but I'll use that as a point to be like, okay, cool, maybe they didn't spend 480, maybe they spent 250, but I still want to investigate that. You know what I mean? So, fair comment, man.
Well, with the Duval thing, my thing is we will see.
For sure. Let it all play out. Okay, cool. I'm real keen, and if you think there's any interest of you getting on a whiteboard, I'd love to do it. But I just want to think how a builder with 150k in the bank, how they could potentially make another 100 grand a year off 2 to 3 deals. Do you want to talk through it? You want to talk through it?
I could tell you the way that I think that they do it wrong.
Okay, that's good. Because my next question here was, no doubt you've worked with lots of tradies. What's some things that they're doing good, and what's some things that they're doing bad when they come to you?
Two things. Firstly, tradies look at things very, very differently to the way that an everyday renovator developer will. So a tradie looks at something and goes, I worked for this guy and he made incredible money and I want some of that. But what they're not taking into account is the additional risk you take on when it's your project. Because you could look at it and go, well, I earned $75 an hour working for this guy building these houses, and I'm making $100 an hour doing it for myself. But for the extra $25 an hour, you're taking on like $1 million worth of debt and risk. And so you're not valuing your self-employed risk enough, not highly enough. You're not taking enough profit. The other thing builders do, in my opinion, wrong, about to piss off your entire database, is
they might like it, they might learn something.
They do a top-down system. So what they do is they go, well, I'm going to offer this much on the property and it's going to cost me this much to do it, and taxes and agents fees and renovation costs and house dressing and GST's going to cost this much, and then I'm going to make this much profit. Then they go, oh fuck, it's not enough profit. I'll tell you what, I'll make a little bit less profit, but I'll offer a bit more and I'll make the deal happen. And what they should is turn it around the other way. They should go, I am not prepared to get out of bed in the morning for less than $100,000 because this project's going to take this long or be this hard. So they're not valuing their own time enough. And therefore, I know the renovation's going to cost this much, so I'm not going to bullshit myself and say I can do it for cheaper. And I know that the fixed costs that I mentioned in between, which is horrific, sometimes 50 grand. Agents fees, house dressing, curtains, carpet, ready lawn, GST, tax, blah, blah, blah.
Interest on the loan.
And therefore, my top offer dollar is this much. And so I'm quite famous for having a $100 million challenge with my clients. I challenge my clients to go and make $100 million worth of offers on property per year. It's 2 a week. 2 a week in Auckland. That's it. And you'll get to 100 million. And what happens...
What's your strategy behind that? It's just time in the saddle, offers,
getting
learning,
activity
negotiation?
Out, making it, You wouldn't believe how many people I meet who are absolutely terrified of picking up a phone and ringing an agent. Right? Agent's sitting in his office waiting for the phone to ring. He's going, he wants
They're out there making social media content waiting for the phone. I get it.
And so what we're doing is we're normalizing and making it an automatic reaction. If you look at something, price it bottom up, like I just mentioned. Get the number right, put the offer in. Conditional offers, shake the tree, see what falls out.
Bottom up. Can you give me a simplified again? Because I want to cut that out into an IG reel.
Well, what happens is most people start from the top and they go, well, shit, the guy's saying he wants 800 for it. I wonder if I could offer 750. They do the numbers on 750. They go all the way down. They go, margin at the bottom's pretty thin. I can't make any money on that. Because the person selling the house isn't selling it based on you making money off it.
No.
They're selling on what they think they can get for it.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you work from the top down, it's too easy to squeeze your margin at the bottom, choose to take a lower profit, choose to cane back the renovation costs and still hope to get the same amount when you're finished. Instead, you do from the bottom up and be severe about it. Do the numbers once, do them right, and put in a fat, healthy profit. Because a $20,000 profit is not enough beer vouchers because that's too close to zero.
I know what you mean.
And it's like all investors, I'm going to trade or flick this property or do this renovation or do this development. But if I fuck it up, I'm going to keep it. It's a hold property. I'm sorry, but that's how most investors in New Zealand get to the mythical stuck. I can't do any more.
Because they haven't done the right method bottom up, and then they end up doing it all, and they're like, there's no money, so we'll just hold it. And then their equity's all tied up and they can't do anything else.
So 10 years ago, back in the day when we were doing with property tutors, our basic business model was buy 3 houses, renovate them, sell them, and you'll have enough money to buy 1 house and keep it. 3, 1, 3, 1. Ish.
Is that roughly the same with building 3, sell 2, keep 1, go again?
I mean, that's a slightly different model because, as I previously said, that doesn't fit with my risk profile. But I know that it works for a lot of people. But also what that means is you keep the developer's margin, you keep the GST.
True.
There's a lot more profitability there. Plus, if you are actually good and do it in the right time frame, you can nail the time frame really well. But what normally happens, and Sir Bob Jones will agree with me on this one, people do 3 houses and they make really good money. And then they do 12 and they make really good money. And then they do 2 lots of 12, then they run out of money or they have an oops. And suddenly there's 24 houses, half finished, not profitable. Because what they don't realise is that doing 12 is a 3-year project. You've got to acquire the asset. You've got to go through council, do the planning, do the consent, blah, 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 build it, finish it, sell it, market it, clear. It's a 3-year, if you're good, it's a 3-year project. So I don't know with my crystal ball where the market's going to be in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
But I know that if I started one of those projects 3 years ago, I'd be fair shitting myself right now.
Yeah. No, I like your kind of angle there or whatever is like, well, you would say your average turnaround deal time would be what? You're in and out in 4 months?
Oh, it's 3 or 4 months.
3 or 4 months. Yeah. Okay, so build up 100K in their pocket. What are they looking for? What type of renovation, roughly?
I hate really, really old houses. They're too brittle, they're too hard work. I like stuff from the 1960s through to the 1980s.
Yeah, nice.
Get too close to the 1980s, you don't want Hardies, you don't want duct squeeze plumbing, you don't want certain roofs. I like stuff that's ugly and dated, but not destroyed.
Yeah, so they can go in and, would you fair to say, like a cosmetic renovation? That's your bread and butter?
Yep, bread and butter stuff.
Carpet,
that's
kitchen,
where all the money comes from.
Bathroom paint?
Yep, anything that touches the entire property. All the flooring, all of the walls, all the paint. Kitchen, bathroom, boom. If you've found some extra space, you can turn it from a 2 to a 3 or 3 to a 4. If you can move it forward on the site, sell sections, or move it forward on the site, put 2 new builds on it, great.
Do you ever look at like footprint extension stuff?
Not often.
Yeah, as soon as I see it footprint, I just think, man, it's too much time and bullshit.
I mean, if you're at 3,500 square metre for a new build and
6,500 plus for a renovation.
Yeah.
Easy.
And it just doesn't add the value that finding a house, like I specialised in state houses in Lower Hutt back in the day. And there was 13 of them. There's 13 models. But there's A models and B models. And the B models were, they had a sunroom. And sunroom easily converts to an extra bedroom. And then when you come to sell it, you're not comparing it to a 2-bedroom value, you're comparing it to a 3-bedroom value straight away. Big laundries, dining rooms, like just doing conversions and making it bigger. Paint it white, make it boring and clean. And off they go again. And now they're doing exactly the same thing, because you take 1,200 square metres and you put 12 townhouses on it with 170 square metres underneath all of them. And Auckland and Christchurch, Wellington are inundated with them. You can't give them away. There's no value in it.
So many. I reckon would you be fair to say there's a massive overstock of these things lying around?
Absolutely. Jump on Tradies right now and do a search for South Auckland 2-bedroom. And they're all house dressed. Like they're all brand new, nobody's ever lived in them. So you got to find a niche in the market. One of the people that has done the best at this is Kurt Gibbons. Gibbons & Co, right? Knew him from back in the day, in awe of what he's managed. Never done the bottom of the market, never been transactional, does the middle up. And just builds good quality shit. Does some lovely stuff.
So definitely like so definitely more of like a cosmetic look for that stuff that you can be in and out.
As bread and butter.
For sure.
If you want to go and build new builds after that, go find a niche, do a lot of investigation, figure it out, price the shit out of it, get it right. Sure. That's the most important part.
I just feel like so many guys, build for all these clients, and every builder's dream is to be their own client, do their own jobs, do their own speccing.
But it's worse now because...
well, it's definitely harder now.
From COVID to now, a lot of builders actually went, shit, this gravy train's over, I run out of work, and they're buying houses to keep their boys employed. And that's scary.
That is scary.
That development S-curve, and then the pricing it from the bottom up stuff. That gets all a bit squiffy when you're trying to put food on the table. And sometimes you just got to be brutal.
2-part question here. How many deals are you looking at on a weekly basis roughly now? And if you had to get your crystal ball out, when do you think the market's going to somewhat turn?
The amount of deals that I look at is different to the amount of deals that other people should. I cut my teeth on thousands, big scattergun. And now I'm way more laser focused. Because what I do is I ring up a real estate agent and say, hey, tell me about that property you've got listed, and they read you the trade me ad, right? And you're sitting there going, this is doing
I can read this.
But thank you for that. How's your weekend been?
Well done.
Rapport building exercises, and by the way, blah blah blah. Right, cool. What's their motivation? What are they trying to sell for? What was the agent's appraisal range? You're asking the question in 7 different ways, and to the thing they don't want to tell you.
The price.
And then you ask the ultimate leading question at the very end of it. Have you got anything else like this that I should look at? That's a great question.
Now, is that pretty much either saying no offer for this, or
no? If you're the agent and I'm the customer and I ring you up and ask you about this property, you're sitting in your office going, fuck, I really want to buy lunch today. I don't want to eat my moldy sandwich. I want to make some money. And so you're like, I must sell them that house, sell them that house. This guy wants to buy that house. And then you go, actually, I buy a shitload of houses. What else have you got? And suddenly their mind goes to the whiteboard on the wall in the office with Beryl's house that's just had a 20 grand price drop. And he goes, actually, that one might suit you. And then suddenly you've educated that agent to know what it is that you're looking for. And so then you say, put me on your database, put me on your list, ring me if you've got anything hot. So that's the sort of feedback that I'm getting now after 30 years in the industry from all over the country. So I'm a lot more laser focused, but that's not necessarily what I recommend for a newbie. Stay wide. an agent never rings you up about a property, you're never not buying. You're always interested, because that agent will never bring you anything else again until you tell them that you're buying it.
Yeah, I like that. Sorry, it just took a little bit to digest that. Yeah, that's a good. So what are the key questions that you're asking an agent when you ring them up? What's the main things that you're looking for?
How bad is it? Is it ugly as hell? What other sales have there been in the street recently? Which is like, what's your market knowledge like? Let's be fair, like there's great agents and there's Muppet agents. Yeah. Right? And I just pissed off half the real estate agents in the country.
Fuck them, I don't like them.
I buy most of my properties off people on this side.
The Muppets.
But also, like, I don't really buy stuff that's freshly listed. I buy stale stock, stuff that's been beat around the market and market tested a little.
So your kind of search bar would be like longest listings longest.
Yeah, quite often stale stuff. Yeah, they've had some offers and they've turned them down, and they feel like they maybe shouldn't have, and you've got to beat a price indication. Yeah, but really, I'm looking for that distressed, cosmetically distressed, not physically distressed older stock. Yeah, I don't want to do piles.
Nah, fuck that.
I had a famous one where I did, and it wasn't fun. Two flats side by side. I'm writing a book on property at the moment, so I'm going back through all these old
deals and notes.
This guy comes along and says, do a bit of house straightening, like shoulders wider than a car, you know the guy. And he looks at how hard the soil is and that, and he gets his pneumatic lifts in underneath the piles, and he goes, it's 35 millimetres out that end, and it's 75 millimetres out that end, and it's flush over here. And he goes, watch this, I can fix that in an instant. He hit some things on his laptop, and all these pneumatic jacks straighten the house out.
Oh, wow.
And all I could hear is the chorus of all the windows popping all around the house as they all exploded.
God. Glass is just going ping, ping, ping.
every piece of jib tore, and he was so proud of himself. See, house is straight. I'm like, house is wrecked.
You just caused about 70 grand worth of damage.
I did another 100 grand worth of jibbing and plaster, and fucking hell. I'm like, thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm paying your bill straight away.
Fucking hell. Brendan, do you want to bring me that phone so I can ring the lives, the questions, and from this morning as well? I'm always interested. I mean, I personally want to move into this game. I just find the property stuff's interesting. I know I mentioned around how it took so hard to get leverage, but then once I got my first, had about 250k equity, I managed to get to 5 really, really fast, but then I got stopped with the equity thing. Is that how does that happen to people?
Mate, bane of my existence for the last 30 years. No, absolutely. You butt your head against serviceability, how much income you can prove that you have. If you I've overstated my income and paid extra tax just so I could get extra serviceability in the past. It's bloody ridiculous.
Yeah, that's wild.
You're lying to IRD to pay more tax. And then as soon as you get your serviceability right, there's a pop in the housing market and your equity disappears, and they go, serviceability is great, but you have no equity. Angel investors, joint venture partners, blue chip, bridge corp, second tier lenders, third tier lenders, lawyers, trust accountants. Borrowing other people's equity, whatever it is that you have to do. If it's making you money and you're making your profits, I've paid 50 grand to get a line of credit for 60 days.
Wow.
Crazy shit.
Have you ever dabbled in industrial commercial stuff?
Not really. It really is a different beast.
Resi man,
I suppose my standard operating with that is, back in the day, I really couldn't afford quality commercial industrial, which is what I want, which is 10 million plus, really.
Yeah, you need big money for that. But that's where you're securing leases for 5 to 10 years.
But it's a different thing. Like, houses are emotional, right? White picket fence, everybody's got to live somewhere, all that sort of things. Commercial's about agreements, contracts, lawyers. It's just really not my bag.
Yeah, there's a lot more stuff.
It's very different.
Just had a couple of questions here, I'll just read them out. Some of these are very vague, so it's a little bit hard. Best ways to add value on a budget?
On a budget, paint.
Paint.
Yep. Spend $1,000 at Resine, and then go carpet after that. If you want a place to look and smell nice, if somebody steps into it, you put a sign out the front, please take your shoes off, and their first carpet, first footprint is on brand new carpet with a rug. That's your best bang for buck. They walk in and they go, oh.
No way. You're probably hitting more of the emotional side than the physical.
Once you painted it and it smells like fresh paint, don't air it out. Let it smell like fresh paint.
Fair play. So info for someone starting a business and using QS from the start to set up for success.
Well, that's about risk minimisation. That's about not trusting your own numbers and leaning on somebody else who knows better and has seen it all. And that's what I was saying about pricing bottom up, not set a top down, which I think is super important.
Yeah, fair.
But also, using a decent spreadsheet report and actually having every single cost and expense on there.
Yeah. Is that something that you have? Do you?
Yeah, I do have some. I'm happy to share with you. And
cool.
There's some free bits and pieces there. Just things like, there's so many things in projects, new builds, renovations, housing that people don't realise actually cost quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like just window dressings, curtains, $2,000 every house.
Yeah, not that bad, eh? In regards to the Auckland market, do you think we're bottom on the way up, roughly?
Mate, I've been looking at the property cycle, and like I said, I've been writing a book on this at the moment. And I think that the last OCR drop, I think the government and the Reserve Bank expected that to push the market forward.
Yeah.
And what I think it actually did is it stopped it from falling as much.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's a very, very big, heavy ship, and it's going to take a lot to turn it.
Yeah.
But I think it has turned.
Yeah, nice.
I think there's absolute deals out there. I think there's people really sweating and selling assets for below what they're worth.
100%.
And I think there's some really good quality assets selling for pretty decent prices too.
Yeah.
If I was to pick it, I would say that we are absolutely at the very, very bottom.
Okay, cool.
But I don't think it's going to bounce back.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a very slow burn.
Yeah.
I give it 2 or 3 years before we get any real great activity.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's fantastic,
Yeah.
because it's going to make the market actually readable.
Yeah.
Because once you get in an Uber and he tells you about the Unity bought Noni Hunga last week, or once you're around the barbecue spinning sausages and they're all talking about the house, it's over then.
Yeah.
It's cooked.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, that's good information. And what's the Steve Goodey plan for 5 years, mate? What are you looking to do? What's your goals? Personal business?
I got a 14-year-old daughter who'll be out of warranty by then.
Yeah.
And that's my youngest one that I made. And I will probably move from Wellington to Auckland at that point. Just see what's going on then, really.
Cool, man.
I have 240 clients on a 3-year program.
How many hours a week are you doing on that? I know you've got people coaching, but
it depends what you consider work. Because I love posting stuff on my Facebook page and answering the questions to it, racking up some shit, doing all that.
I love that.
I love interacting with my clients and taking calls and doing all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you consider it work, then it's work.
Yeah. It's a hard one to. I look at this all the time, and I'm like, I actually get pure joy out of replying to someone on Instagram that said, "Hey, bro, I've used one of your videos and I helped charge an extra $250, $400 more," and I love sending a voice note and be like, "Fuck, bro, good on you, well done, 10x that thing." You know? Well,
I mean, I just do this event, and most people buy a ticket and stuff, and every year I do 10 scholarships. It's just free giveaway tickets.
Fuck, that's good.
And I've had some feedback from some of those. Well, I brought my 20-year-old daughter along to your event, and she bought her first house already, and stuff like that. And that's where I get a kick out of it.
That's rewarding.
That's really cool.
Yep. Where can people find you and tell them about the event thing this weekend and how often you run them?
I try to do 2 a year on my Facebook page, Instagram, or TikTok under Steve Goodey Property Coach.
Cool.
Come find me. Bang a message. I'm the only one that answers any of the messages on all of those platforms.
Easy.
More than happy to have your people who are watching your socials come to mine and vice versa. I think you add great value.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Cool. Cheers for your time. We'll definitely be doing this again.
All good.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Cheers.